I have changed my mind about something. Wishbinder gift is actually a W, and I have changed my mind about how good this is. Because if you happen to have 100 summon, the value is insane because you can select from one of the best units to clear PvE or content, Claws, a fantastic unit in PvP and PvE, or Veronica, which is amazing in PvP. So the event is actually a W because it helps new players, and it helps those players that were missing some of these key units, especially Claws. Claws is so important for PvE, and I will strongly recommend pulling for her if you can, because you need to have 100 pulls. Now, even though the event is a W, let's get that straight, and even though I have changed my mind, I'm still a bit uneasy with a few things behind the concept of this event, which is the topic of the video, and it's the thing I want to discuss with you all today, if you want to discuss with me. So welcome to the channel. My name is Pliyo, and I love covering Etheria Restart content. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the Wishbinder gift deep dive. Now, it's a summoning event, right? And the key question that I have is, how often are we going to see this event coming again in the future, right? Because something is clear. The Wishbinder points will reset after the event goes away. And for me, the question of how often is important, because now something is true. Something is here obvious for us. The permanent summon has changed forever. So in the past, I said it is a nerf to the permanent summon. And now I have changed my mind. I don't think it is a nerf. If the event is running, it's actually a buff. But when the event is not running, well, you are influenced to save your pulls, which is not a bad thing, right? Saving your pulls is not a bad thing. But it's true that it has changed how we play forever. In the same way that Blessing Galore, the double drop event, has changed when we farm modules. This event has changed when we pull, right, in the permanent summon, right? And those are the key things the key question that I have, like how often is it gonna happen? The second thing that I have, the second question is this always going to come with a LD unit, or could they release it between events, right? Because I think one of the misses of this event, in my opinion, is that it's coming when Lilium is running, and it would be a bit better if it was actually coming between Lilium goes away, so like the last 2 days of Lilium and the first 4 days of the 2 new units that will come after her, right? So we are gonna get 2 new units in 13 days. And I think this event will have really helped if it was between, those things. In my personal opinion, right? What do you think about that? Now, another thing that this event is telling me is you need to choose between the devil you know versus the devil you don't, right? So in this case, I will strongly suggest pick the devil you know. Try to get close if you don't have her. All the rest, you could survive. I have survived without Tsukiyomi and without Veronica. Tsukiyomi, I think, is extremely powerful, so maybe it's a good reason to get her. But ultimately, we are choosing, right? Because we don't know what are the 2 new units that will come in the future, and we might not have all the pulls that we need. And this is the tricky part about the nature of this event, which is the only thing that is making me still uneasy. And the question is, right, why am I uneasy? Because I prefer events that involve a bit more of gameplay, right? Champion's Call is not perfect. It's mostly because you cannot really play at all times, It's only when the bets are in progress. Infinity Train, I think the only thing that this is missing is a way for us to auto-select buffs so that you just let it go, let it run, and then it will go. And then Cage Rumble is good, but it's also a bit long in my personal preference. But still, there is some gameplay there. Here is full-on pulls, right? Full-on absorbing the core of the gacha mechanics. And an argument to be made is to say, well, but it's a gacha, right? But I think just because it's a gacha, it doesn't need to be like this, right? So then all I'm trying to say is like the rewards are fantastic. The rewards are a W. The event is a W. The execution, right? How the event is coming around, I would love to see the same rewards in a different type of events. That's what I'm trying to say. Because that will really reward playing the game. Imagine if you could get this by playing 300 RTA PvP matches, right? Because it's called a gift, right? People will call me crazy by suggesting that. But I think it will encourage the essence of the game, which is PvP, right? Maybe is get 300 wins. I know I'm going crazy with this idea, but it's just an idea. Like, what do you think would be better than summoning? Because for me, summoning leads to a slippery slope where it's really easy to be really close to the reward that you want, and then boom, you buy one pack. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I quite likely I'm gonna buy this pack. And if I get tilted, I might buy this pack as well. Well, for sure, I'm going to buy this one. So I'm a retired Kraken, and I consider myself a low spender now. So I think I will try to just get this pack, and that's it. Speaking of which, I think this concept of resetting the points, in my personal preference, it would be fantastic if we could choose. I'm always pro-choice. I believe giving choice to players is a good thing for player retention because you are giving something and then players give you something back, which is their attention, their time, which is the most important coin, the most important currency, their time. And I think if we could choose to say, well, I actually want to reset the progress or I want to continue where I left, right? What do I mean by this? Imagine that you have 180 pulls, right? So you are between these two stages. You didn't get the perfect lattice, but you got the most important item, which is the pack of the SSR, right? Imagine if you could continue where you left, and with only 20 pulls, you could get that perfect lattice that you were about to get back in the day, back in August. Imagine that we see this again in, I don't know, October, for example. I think that would be fantastic to reward the loyalty of those players that were excited to pull, but maybe they didn't get to that level. And then they could choose, okay, I just got the perfect lattice. I'm not interested in these modules, so let me reset. I appreciate at the same time, they might want to bring different rewards. But how cool would that be that you could complete the first one and then go into the second one, right? So then at some point you could catch up. Because imagine that you are low on money or low on pools, and then you are given the option to say, well, when this event comes back, you can pay a lot and then catch up with the rest of the players. So all I'm trying to say is, like, if we give players more options, they're going to give the company more money, more attention, more of their time. In my personal opinion, I think that works. And when practices encourage, gives the rewards, not for free, it's at some cost, but give rewards, especially when something is called a gift, players tend to be really happy and then stay for longer, right? Look at Wuthering Waves, for example. I think that's a fantastic example of a company that is really listening. And I have to say something. I think they are listening. I have been spending quite a lot of time in Discord, in the official Discord, and I think the game is heading in the right direction. But I still have a few questions, right? For example, this concept of clause. There is no denying that a clause is one of the best choices. But at the same time, the key question is, why do we even need clause, right? Because, of course, you can clear the stages without her. But wouldn't it be better that we already get a nerf to Rengotsu so that it will be easier to farm PvE, right? Wouldn't that be better? And this is the thing, like, I know at some point we're gonna get that nerf. I think, I'm hoping to. I'm hopeful. I'm drinking a lot of hopium lately. So yeah, the game is looking a bit brighter to me personally, because I have read the community managers being quite engaged, the official community managers, being quite engaged, and it seems that they're having really good conversations with Jack. It seems the game is gonna, go through a few bumps, but it will stabilize. I think it needs 3 more months. To be honest, knowing how developers works, I think it needs 2 to 3 more months for the game to be actually really good. For now, I think we need to spend plenty of time in the game. And we still have like events like this one, which is, a lot of value, but in a predatory-ish way, which is like summon, right? My personal opinion, right? So this is what I think. What do you think about the event? What do you think about these tactics? Don't get me wrong. I think this is a W, right? I'm changing my mind. In the past, I said it's a nerf to the permanent summon. No, it's not like that. It's actually a buff when the event is running. And when it's not running, well, now we need to save. Now we need to save and change our optimal gameplay, which is not bad to save. there are only a few things that I will slightly tweak so that this lands a bit more smoothly. And then an argument against everything that I'm saying, I have seen a few arguments. One of them is companies don't owe you any communication, which is like, yeah, and we don't owe them our time and attention, right? And our money. So all I'm trying to suggest is like, if companies rewards you with great communication, quite likely players will also be there, excited and hype and connected to the mission, to the company, to the game, and feeling cared and loved, right? And they will quite likely they will stay for longer. Of course, they don't need to communicate better. Of course, they don't need to run this event between banners. They can do whatever they want. And just sharing some ideas that I would love to see, in case that anybody is listening, right? Or, just because I want to get this out of my chest. So all in all, great value because of the rewards, but we have still this nature of the event. And yeah, in the future, I would love to see other events more like PvP based, PvP focus, because what is the core, what is the identity of the game? So far, I'm seeing that the identity is still really blurry, because it tries to be a game of like a really difficult PvP and a really difficult PvE, and I think it needs to choose. Right? I mean, in my personal opinion, I think we are spending so much time in the game farming, doing all the events, the Phantom, the Cage Rumble, the Infinite Train, and it's like, when are we going to do the PvP? And when are we going to get good drops? I think introducing a PT for the modules, reducing the difficulty on Rengotsu, those are the things that I would love to see. But I'm getting out of, the topic, because the event is the event, and the event is like, in nature, predatory, but with really good rewards. So I have a bittersweet feeling about this. And yeah, as I was saying, I will probably buy this pack. So I don't want to be, I don't want to lie to myself, because there's good value here. So this is my review. Way better than I originally thought. I said in the past it was a nerf. I jumped to conclusion because I didn't have enough information at that time, so I apologize. They also didn't release. When I made the video, I personally didn't know that we were going to get a guaranteed SSR, right? If we were not getting a guaranteed SSR, I will still feel even worse. Right now I'm feeling bittersweet, right? So guaranteed SSR, but it's predatory, so it's it's a gacha. All right, yeah, let's get it, like that. Yeah, okay. Anyhow, what do you think? I would love to hear your thoughts. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and if you want to debate with me, I would really love to hear your thoughts. So yeah, so until the next time, cheerios, bye bye.